So I just got finished watching One Battle After Another in IMAX, and this is my review. Now, here's a caveat. I've only posted 2 prior film reviews, and it's either for a movie that I really like, which is the first one, or it's a movie that it's kind of obscure, that kind of like, stays with me and stuff. The reason I'm reviewing this is because I've been looking forward to it for a long time, ever since the first trailers came out, with like the casting and the story and everything sounded all very interesting and so on and so forth. And then I got even more excited when I read the article, or there was a dialogue between Steven Spielberg and Paul Thomas Anderson about the movie, and Spielberg was like, "Oh my gosh, this movie is like the second coming, like it's such an amazing movie." So I just had to see it. I'm not as much of a film junkie as I used to be when I was younger, like in high school and college. I was a big horror movie fan and so on and so forth. And the reason I'm making this video is because it's going to be a negative review. I mean, this movie is just all over the place. Let's look at the runtime. I have the information here. So I stayed for the entire, 162 minutes. So 2 hours and 40 minutes, 2 hours and 42 minutes, an almost 3-hour movie. It's almost difficult to like choose where to start, like why this movie didn't work for me. If I had to give it a score, because it's Paul Thomas Anderson, I would give it a 6 out of 10, maybe a 5.5 out of 10. If it was just Joe Schmo or a new filmmaker or whatever, I might give it a 7 out of 10. The main issue I have with this movie is that it doesn't know what it wants to be. Like, does it want to be a drama? Does it want to be a slapstick comedy? Does it want to be an action movie? Does it want to be about politics and what's going on in the world and what's going on in America right now? Because if you want to do that, then fine, but just commit. This movie doesn't commit. This movie goes halfway on all of those. Like, okay, so first off, the performances. Leonardo DiCaprio, awesome. I'll watch him in anything. I think he's basically, in my opinion, he's the Jack Nicholson of this generation. So I'll watch him in anything. He can even do the eyebrows, right? He was really good in this movie, but they didn't give him a lot to work with. So he's our main character, and for 90% of the movie, all he serves is comic relief. Let me repeat that. All he serves is comic relief. And he's a plot device for being the father, or the quote-unquote father. I will go into spoilers. There's a what do you call it? A paternal testing issue in terms of the girl and who her actual father is. The other top performer who basically I think stole the show in terms of his performance was Sean Penn. You don't see him a lot in a lot of movies in these recent years, and the performance he gives is just really amazing. But it's in a movie that is kind of like directionless and is kind of soulless, and I think it's worth paying the money just to watch Sean Penn's performance. I think he's in the movie for like anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes. His performance is really amazing, and he really nails it, but then it starts to get like a little bit like too much at the end, like, if you know what I mean. There is like this horror trope at the end where, like, the boogeyman gets shot and gets shot in the face with a shotgun, and then lo and behold, he's not dead. So what I'm trying to say is, okay, number one, the movie's kind of the reason why I say for Paul Thomas Anderson is because I've seen all his movies, and the guy's a movie genius. There's no doubt. But this is like on the lower end of his list. Like, I'm just looking at his filmography right now. Okay, 1996 Hard 8. That's a 9 out of 10 movie. John C. Reilly and the other actor that he used in Magnolia. Okay, Boogie Nights, 10 out of 10. Magnolia, 10 out of 10, possibly 11 out of 10. Tom Cruise should have won the Oscar, what have you. Punch Drunk Love, really good, 9 out of 10. There Will Be Blood, just, 20 out of 10. The Master, again, 20 out of 10. Inherent Vice, that's kind of a, love it or hate it kind of movie. I'd give that movie like a 7 out of 10. Phantom Thread, amazing. I had to watch it a couple times to really get it. Definitely a 9 out of 10. Licorice Pizza, really funny. I had to watch it a couple times again. This movie though, One Battle After Another, I don't think I'll have to watch again. And I noticed that it's the same thing as Inherent Vice, in which he adapted a novel by Thomas Pynchon. And so One Battle After Another, the setting is like the first 10 minutes, it'll be really reminiscent. And what I mean by that is it's very political. So it's about the detention of immigrants. And the movie, it's unlawful, or there's some controversy to it, or the citizens don't agree with it. So it is kind of a moralizing movie. And what I mean is, the first shot is our protagonist, or who we think is our protagonist at first. And then we have Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and we find out, they're lovers and so forth. But our protagonist is literally like, it starts out with her just like figuratively being the guardian angel of all these poor migrant people who've been shuffled away into these bad living conditions, these bad camps basically. And I mean, that's fine if you want to make a movie about current politics and stuff, do it. But if you're gonna do it, fully commit to it, or do it in a smart way. Don't make it so basic and so black and white. What I mean by that is, our protagonists, they are all freedom fighters, or terrorists, depending on how you look at it. Our main protagonists are freedom fighters, and the big bad guys are the government, and also this evil cabal that is connected with the government, and they are basically eugenicists. They believe in pure race and stuff like that. So it's very political, and it's very kind of it's very in step with the current political zeitgeist of this country, of the United States. But it doesn't really commit to it. First off, I don't think Paul Thomas Anderson should be making a political movie in which he's taking a stance specifically. I think that's kind of like a third rail. And this is his 10th movie, so this is like a a milestone movie for him. And he chose this very political movie to sort of pontificate. And some people don't like that, I mean, people who have independent thought and have their own beliefs and values and stuff, they don't like to be lectured to, So if you want to watch a really good political movie that is very much in tune with the current political zeitgeist in the U.S., especially after, the Charlie Kirk assassination and so forth, watch Alex Garland's Civil War from 2024. Now that is a really good political thriller that does not pontificate. All it does is just show you, this is what happens when in a democracy, when the political people can't work it out. This is what happens, and it's a civil war basically. So watch that movie if you want to watch a political movie about the current state of U.S. politics, the fact that the political system is in disrepair and all that. Watch Alex Garland's Civil War 2024. It stars Kirsten Dunst. That movie kind of went under the radar. I mean, it was talked about for a long time, but I got to see it a while ago on Amazon Prime. Again, I have an issue where, our protagonist, the character played by Leonardo DiCaprio, his name is Bob, or I think his real name is... Actually, they only say his real name once, so I don't know what his real name is. Anyway, his name is Bob. His daughter's name is Willa, and the mother of their children was supposedly our protagonist from the beginning, but then we find out she's totally messed up in the head. She's literally crazy. She's not ladylike. She is basically a psychopath. She doesn't even want to take care of her own baby, and it's not about her being depressed or having postpartum depression or anything like that. So right off the bat, that character is just what, what, and I thought the movie would have more action scenes and more drama to it. But at the end of the day, all it boils down to is a paternity issue. So this movie, it boils down to a paternity issue. And the backdrop is that of basically freedom fighters against the government's oppression. If you want to see it as oppression. That's another issue with the movie. Like, if you want to be political like that, you got to give us more information. If you want to take a stance, if you want us to be on the side of the protagonist, you have to give us more information and not just assume that we are going to we're going to assume that, the protagonists are the good guys because they're the protagonists and the antagonists are the bad guys because they're the antagonists. This is like a movie, like in that sense, it's almost a movie made for kids. Like, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. Like, that's it. That's where we draw the line. And this is just so off base with his prior movies, like There Will Be Blood. There's so much nuance in that. I mean, the main character is evil, but then he has other redeeming qualities, or Phantom Thread, or The Master, especially, about Scientology, the cult. Another issue I have with the movie, again, is it just doesn't know what it wants to be. It wants to be everything. It wants to be a comedy. It wants to be an action movie. It wants to be a drama, but it doesn't satisfy you in either of those subgenres. It just doesn't. And it's kind of really disappointing. The guy who made some of my favorite movies, Boogie Nights, Magnolia, There Will Be Blood, The Master, even Licorice Pizza. I mean, I thought that movie was super funny and so on and so forth. And yeah, I mean, I watched this movie with a really good friend, and I went to my friend's house and we spent time to watch this movie. My friend had never seen any of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies, and my friend, I was not surprised, did not like this movie. There's just not enough action for it to be an action movie. There's not enough drama for it to be a dramatic movie. And there's not enough politics for it to be, a political movie. It's almost kind of like Inherent Vice, where it's like what is he thinking? Was he on drugs when he was deciding this? Like, it's just, I mean, it's a lot easier to follow than Inherent Vice. It's very straightforward. It's basically about a terrorist group who has to go on the run because they get snitched on by the mother of the main character, whose name is Willa. And see, that's another complaint. It's supposed to be about this bond between Leonardo DiCaprio's character Bob and Willa, the father and daughter. And we learn in the movie that he's not actually her father biologically. It's Sean Penn who's her father. But they still love each other, and they hug and all of that. It doesn't give us a whole lot to work with in terms of their relationship. I mean, I don't think there were any scenes that really gave us a whole lot of insight into their relationship, aside from them bickering about, her friends coming over and her going to a dance, and about her not keeping her safety device on her. And again, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, it's really funny. So is Benicio del Toro's character. Really funny, the karate instructor who's just always cool as a cucumber. But that's it. It's one-dimensional. So literally, Leonardo DiCaprio, our protagonist, is basically 90% of the movie, 95% of the movie. He's nothing more than comic relief. Like, that's it. He's just comic relief. Like, there's this one scene that's sort of ridiculous, like, where he's trying to parkour over the rooftops of buildings with, like, these young Latino kids they're trying to lead him to safety. And he just fails, and he falls 40 feet face first. And it's just like, dude, is this a slapstick comedy? Like, I mean, I get that he's incompetent. And they keep showing how incompetent he is outside of his, like, what he knows, which is, like, wiring stuff and building bombs. Like, he can't even shoot a rifle. So, yeah, the movie was just kind of all over the place. is 2 hours and 42 minutes, and yet you don't come away with the movie with any kind of feeling, any kind of like, oh, I need to think about this deeper. It's insightful, and it's given me new insight, or this is a movie that sticks with me. No, I just watched it, and then it just exited my body, you know? So, yeah, this movie was, I'm sorry, it was really terrible for Paul Thomas Anderson standards. It's just one of those like really highly anticipated. It'd probably get nominated for a shit ton of awards. I think Sean Penn does deserve like nominations for his acting, but then again, the movie gets like, it starts to get ridiculous by the end. And there is no emotional payoff. There's no emotional final payoff, except Leonardo DiCaprio and the daughter, they hug. And again, the thing with the daughter, it's 2 hours and 42 minutes. Give us more scenes of Leonardo DiCaprio interacting with his daughter. At the very least, flesh out the daughter's character, because the daughter is a total empty slate. I guess you can argue, you know, a 16-year-old kid is basically just like that, but we basically have no scenes of Leonardo DiCaprio bonding with his daughter. And the movie's like, there's other nitpicks as well. I mean, Bob, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, is basically a pothead, which, fine. I mean, that's comic relief, and he smokes pot before going to the principal's office to talk about his daughter's education and all that. And yet, he's like super high in the principal's office, which is totally unrealistic, because if you're smoking pot on a daily basis, you're not going to be getting any psychedelic effects or anything like that. So, like, yeah, this is a 2 hour, 42-minute movie that feels like it was just pieced together, and it feels almost as if, and this is really mean to say, but it feels almost as if this is like it's kind of a focus grouped movie. Like you made this movie by presenting all these different scripts to focus groups, and you know, whichever one stuck got it. I don't have an issue with, you know, taking political stances in movies and things of that sort. But if you're gonna do it right. You know, don't treat your viewers like we're dumb. If you're gonna make a movie about politics, you have to give us, you know, sufficient information about what's going on and so on and so forth. And the movie just doesn't do that well at all. I mean, there's this, again, secret cabal of eugenicists who they are basically like Satan. They're like a satanic cult, basically. Essentially, literally, that's how they're portrayed, as a satanic cult. And the whole thing with Sean Penn's character is, why would he care so much about joining their cabal? Like, what benefit is it? What benefit to him is it to be a part of this group? Like, does this group actually do child sacrifice and they have, like, immortality? Because then I would understand. But at the end of the day, I mean, apparently it was just about having an office overlooking flat land, suburbia. Apparently that was what Sean Penn's character was after. And he would kill his own blood daughter in order to get it. Totally ridiculous. Like, we don't know anything about this group of, you know, old Caucasian men, eugenicists, basically. And they're supposed to be the bad guys. And we don't know anything about them, but, you know, the main driver of the story, the main plot point is the motivation of Sean Penn's character, Colonel Lockjaw. He wants to get in this organization, and to get in, he has to kill his daughter, who is half black, basically. It just doesn't give us enough to chew on. And it's really, I mean, it's like comparing, it's like comparing, you know, a sushi box from 7-Eleven to something you would get at a Michelin restaurant. That's how stark the comparison is. I mean, if you compare this with, like, There Will Be Blood, or The Master, or even Hard Eight, Boogie Nights, like, those films are masterpieces. Those films are from a film genius. This movie, One Battle After Another, I'm sorry, man, it's just not a good movie. It is not a good movie. And again, this is the last point, it gets really ridiculous toward the end. I mean, even toward the end, we have our main character, Leonardo DiCaprio, give a letter to his daughter that the mom saved for her. And we don't really learn anything. The mom is basically just like, oh, I'm sorry I did this. I'm sorry I, abandoned my motherly duties, and I hope you're doing well, and basically it. There's no point to it. So, yeah, this movie's just all over the place, and I mean, if you're fans of like acting and stuff, yeah, Sean Penn gives a great performance. Leonardo DiCaprio gives a great performance. So does Benicio del Toro. But the, I mean, they only give Sean Penn like the really good stuff. Again, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, he's just comic relief. He's just a bumbling idiot, basically. Benicio del Toro, he's the cool Kimosabe. What do you call sensei? Karate sensei, basically. So, to put a cap on it, this is not a great movie. It tries to moralize to you, but it doesn't do so in a deft or original or in a good way like Civil War. Like, if you want to watch a political movie, watch Civil War from 2024 by Alex Garland. It's filmed on a shoestring budget, and it's just amazing. The movie's amazing. This movie, one battle after another, I just don't know. I just don't know what happened. It was shot on Super 35, and the image was amazing, but I don't recall even there being any like really amazing shots or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, if you want to watch a mediocre movie about some freedom fighters fighting against government rounding up illegal immigrants, and watch it then, I guess. But it's just very disappointing to see this type of movie and this big of a movie come from Paul Thomas Anderson, just because you're so used to greatness, like, and this is just kind of not good. It's pretty trashy. I mean, I'll give you another example. Maybe he was trying to experiment, but this was a failed experiment, in my opinion. Like Martin Scorsese. He wasn't always doing mob movies. He would experiment at times, and I actually think Martin Scorsese, his best movie of all time, is not Goodfellas or Casino or The Irishman. I think it's a romantic drama called The Loss of Innocence, starring Daniel Day-Lewis and Michelle Pfeiffer back in the early 90s. I think that is Scorsese's best film. And that was him just testing the waters, just trying to do something new, basically. And he did a really good job. This movie, one battle after another, I'm sorry, it just does not cut it. It's a very disappointing Paul Thomas Anderson movie, if you're a Paul Thomas Anderson fan. But he does make these like off movies at times. Like there's Inherent Vice. There is Phantom Thread, which some people don't like. Some people think it's really boring. I think it's amazing. Licorice Pizza, I think it's a really funny movie, and it really rings true. It's really about the San Fernando Valley, the northern part of LA, and how life is up there. It's just really funny, really heartwarming, personal, semi-autobiographical movie. It's just this one and Inherent Vice, I just don't think are really good films. I thought Inherent Vice, had more than this movie. Because Inherent Vice, like, you can interpret it differently because it's not an easy movie to follow. This one is very easy, okay? These are the good guys, these are the bad guys, and we're going to have this whole mess of issues come up just because one woman had a baby with somebody and she was, fooling around with somebody else. So we don't know who the father is. That's the basic premise of this movie. And the backdrop is, oh, we're living in a corrupt government, and these are the bad guys, bar none. We're the good guys. We're not going to give you any more info. That's just the way it is. It's just not a good movie. Like, even on its own, like I said in the beginning, maybe 7 out of 10, maybe. It's just not good. And at the very end, it does like this horror movie. It does a Michael Myers kind of scene, basically. Where Michael Myers, you shoot him, and then he gets back up. And they do that with Sean Penn's character. And at that point, in the movie, I was just thinking to myself, okay, this is just too ridiculous. Like who can take this movie seriously? Like, you got this guy who had half his face blown off, get reconstructive surgery, and he still wants to be in that club. And what's it all about? It's all about having an office overlooking nothing, suburbia, basically, a flat plane. Like, at that point in the movie, I knew, like, okay, this movie's kind of lost the plot. And so, yeah, so at the end of the day, one battle after another, 6 or 6.5 out of 10. Definitely not a good Paul Thomas Anderson film. Just my opinion.